Hello everybody, it's time for an update video as we wrap up week 6 and move on to week 7. It's been a pretty busy couple of days, lots of stuff going on, so let's talk about what's happened recently. As you can tell by the title of the video, there was no rank up this week, and depending on progress, there might not be one next week either. I've mostly been focusing on two things as of late. Those are 1, getting back to gold after dropping those points last week, and 2, catching up with the Getting Good series so that I'm on track again. The bad news for this week is that I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to get this stuff done. There was a birthday to celebrate in the family, there was 4th of July of course, and then some other stuff came up. So I ended up deciding to prioritize certain goals over others. The good news is that I did make a lot of progress on the goals I did prioritize, and I'm actually pretty close to being on a 1-to-1 ratio with the Getting Good series in terms of the week, rank, and the skills learned. I did make it back on a gold this week, and it felt pretty great since I beat quite a few gold ranked players to get there instead of, accepting those generous donations from the first week Codys. I definitely think I can consider myself a gold level player now, although that's not really saying much in the grand scheme of things, right? What's more important is that I'm making some pretty solid improvement in my play across the board. Although I got crossed off last week, I'm still getting better with anti-airing, and I'll continue to do so with a new drill that I'll be working on. You can see in the highlights against the Chun-Li that I'm getting the air throws out much more consistently, and the damage from that adds up pretty quickly. Meaty practice is coming along pretty nicely too. I'm able to get perfects pretty often against the bot, though usually they aren't coming out back to back. If I had to guess, I'd say it's maybe like 75% of the way there, and I'd expect to cross it off for week 7. Unfortunately, my other goal related to meaties, the standing heavy punch into heavy parabellum buffer, was one that I kinda ended up putting on the back burner. I spent 2 days on it and it seemed pretty easy in the vacuum of training mode, but then when it came to the real matches, I would just keep forgetting to do it, or I would delay the standing heavy punch instead of hitting the standing heavy punch and then delaying the parabellum. For week 7, it's going to be one of my main focuses, so I'm not too worried about it moving forward. I'm happy to say that counter hit confirming is getting crossed off the list this week as well. I'm consistently watching for the counter hit notification regardless of what side of the screen I'm on, and I'm able to react in time to get the special combo out. In the near future, I think I'd like to add some more frame traps and counter hit combos to vary my offense up a bit, but hopefully training that will go by much more quickly and smoothly. Last but not least, I'm also crossing off the last 2 mini goals, which were to take notes on the parries, the hailstorms, and the V-reversal. I'm really glad that I got these done because I learned a lot of super important things that I didn't know before. First off, I didn't realize that the startup on Colleen's parries were so fast. It's 2 frames for the regular version and 1 frame for the EX version. And coincidentally, I ran into 2 situations this week that have raised a lot of questions now that I know this information. I fought my 3rd mirror match this week against a gold Colleen, and it was laggy, but it was also a good learning experience. There's a point at the end of this footage where I get a knockdown, I go for a manually timed meaty, and I actually get EX parry to move around because of it. Now that I know EX parry has a 1 frame startup, I have a lot of questions on its proper use. If I understand things correctly, assuming someone wakes up with a 3 frame normal, I have 3 frames of leeway when I'm manually timing my crouching medium punch meaty. 2 frames of wiggle room because the opponent is in the startup animation for their move, and then 1 extra frame of leeway because although their attack is active on the 3rd frame, if my attack becomes active at the same time, it's going to win because it's a medium punch and it's stronger according to the priority system. If that's all correct, then 99% of the time, manually timed meaties are fine because 3 frame attacks are the fastest in the game aside from Colleen's parries. Even Ryu's parry is 3 frames and Zangief's super is 1 frame, but we'll skip that since it's an invincible super anyways. So now that leads me to the questions. If Colleen's EX parry is the only move in the game that requires you to be frame perfect on your meaty attack, how legitimate is that as a wake up option in a higher level play? The second situation that I happened to come across this week, totally coincidental, was a Diamond Colleen Twitch stream where the guy was fighting a Grandmaster Nash and he got knocked down and then he said, "Watch this," and he woke up EX parry to win the game and then he started cracking up. I didn't ask him and I definitely should have, but I'm wondering if parries like that are quote-unquote proper play or if they're just one-time gimmicks that pro players know how to blow up. I've only just started studying higher level play in my free time, so these are the only 2 situations I've seen so far where this happens, but I plan to find out the answers this week. It's got me wondering if I should be practicing manually timed meaties against the Colleen dummy to make sure I can get them down perfectly just for that mirror match. Maybe there's a piece of the puzzle that I'm missing here. Maybe it's an online-only tactic that wouldn't hold up in local play. Do players like Daigo or Infiltration watch for Wake Up Harrys when they play in tournaments? Who knows? Like I said, I'll ask around this week because I'd really like to know the answer. But anyways, getting back on track, another thing I didn't realize was the crazy frame advantage that you get from the hail projectiles. I didn't realize that they were all 30 frames or more plus on block, and that sounds ridiculous. I'm definitely going to mess around with it as well this week to see what kind of offensive options it helps me set up. The V-Reversal also surprised me, but not really in a good way. I was a little bummed to see that a few people called it one of the worst V-Reversals in the game, and after testing it, I don't really like it either. It doesn't seem to move you that far away from the opponent unless you use it point blank, and even then it doesn't move you that far, but I mean on the bright side at least it's better than Vegas, right? Like, that's pretty much something you can say for everything. At least it's better than Vegas. But I'm gonna mess around with it in ranked matches and see how it goes. I don't think I'll use it too often, but at least it's an extra option that's there when I need it. Okay, so to quickly recap, Meaties and the standing heavy punch buffer are gonna stay on the list. Everything else is getting crossed off, so let's talk new goals now. New goal number 1 is Whiff Punishing. I've seen the videos on it, and I'm expecting this one to be pretty challenging since I haven't really tackled the neutral game yet. It's going to require me to pay much more attention to my movement, attack ranges, as well as forcing me to put more thought into what buttons I press and why. The payoff on that is going to be huge though, so I am excited to get that started. I talked last week about feeling like I needed to be more aggressive, but I think the problem was actually just that I'm not fluid in the neutral, and I'm not using techniques like Whiff Punishing to take control of games like I should. New goal number 2 is the last goal I want to add since I already have a ton to work on and I have questions that I need to seek out answers for. All I want to do is find out the max damage meterless stun combo so I can stop letting that free damage fly out the window. This should be easy enough to implement since the only time I'm going to use it is when the opponent can't do anything. It should pretty much carry over directly from training on the dummy into real matches. The other thing I talked about last time was working on matchup knowledge, and my games this week continue to make that seem like a great idea. Last week I struggled against lots of Lauras, and this week I struggled a lot against Bison and Jury. I'm not getting completely stomped, but it's still a massive uphill battle when I don't really understand what exactly is going on with their skills. I'm probably going to put some of that footage of those sets in this video to illustrate it, but I'm still not working on this until week 8, maybe even 9. I don't think I could say with a straight face that the only issue here is matchup knowledge. There's still a lot of other stuff to work on, so I probably think it's best to keep sorting my general issues out before I move on to more character-specific ones. And then last thing before we wrap this up, I'm going to try something different with my ranked matches this week. Long story short, I have a habit of grinding out matches, and it cost me a ton of time when I went on tilt and had to grind my way back up to gold. On top of that, aside from a handful of specific matches that I use for these videos, I don't really go back and watch my replays. What I'm gonna do is to stop playing ranked after 2 lost sets, kind of like a tournament, you know, you lose, you get into losers, you lose again, you're out, and then spend whatever time I have left watching some of the replays. I saw an interesting post from AM Kid, I think is how you say his name, on Reddit, about playing through losing streaks, and I like his thoughts on it, but first I want to get into the habit of searching for immediate feedback and replays before I try to play through losing streaks or anything like that. Everybody's different, and it might not even be something that works for me, so at the very least I just want to stop playing games when I'm mentally blocked. But that's everything I'm looking at for now. I'll probably make a midweek update to see how things are going with all these moving parts, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested, but until then, peace out guys.